Hey there, guys. How's it going for today? We're gonna start discussing some of the cards from the new Brothers War set, and this is one of the first ones I think I'm doing for the set. And from the thumbnail, you know what I'm gonna be talking about here. Uh, Demolition Field. I feel like this one is pretty darn good. I even think it's probably better than Ghost Quarter and a couple of the other really good land destruction cards. There are a couple downsides in comparison to Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter, you just tap and sack it. Doesn't cost any mana, but Demolition Field is a land that does get you a land back as well. And I do think that that is a decent investment. I think it's much better, of course, than Field of Ruin because, well, Field of Ruin, especially in EDH, helps everyone else out by giving them a free land. And unless you're punishing them in some ways for getting those lands, it's one of those things that you just really don't want to do, and most decks don't really want to do that anyway, even if they're punishing their opponents. So let me read through it really quickly and explain exactly what it does to make sure everyone's on the same page and whatnot. So it's a land, taps for colorless mana, you can sack it to destroy target non-basic land that an opponent controls. That land's controller searches their library for a basic land card, puts it into the battlefield tapped. Puts it onto the battlefield, then they shuffle, so they don't even put it into tap. And then we search our library for basic land, put it into the battlefield, then shuffle. So our land also doesn't come in tapped, which is also pretty darn good. So we get a free untapped land with this as well. It is a basic land, but that's still really good. And I still think that this is really good. Even if it isn't quite as good as Ghost Quarter, I still think it's kind of on par with Ghost Quarter, because a lot of the times we find ourselves being stuck with that hard choice of having to sacrifice a land and having to need to get rid of one of our opponent's lands sometimes. And yes, if you're in a graveyard deck or whatnot, like Muldrotha or whatnot, that can get lands back more easily and things like that, it is a bit of a different math story. But still, it's one of those things that you don't want to give up your lands, too readily, too much of the time, unless you can get something out of it at least sometimes as well. So it does become a bit awkward sometimes with some of those cards that don't also help you out as well. It's a little bit, it's one of those little things that you decide you sort of have to do because you have to destroy their land so that you just don't lose to what they're doing. And it's just that slight downside that you need to deal with. But overall, I find that lands that give you this level of utility have been sorely lacking, and it is great to see a card like this. I'm not sure about it seeing play in other formats or whatever and whatnot, but I don't really care, and, I still think it's probably pretty good in those formats because, well, you need some sort of land-based removal in those decks, and I don't think that it's any real difference in those formats to Field of Ruins, so I don't really see the difference there, but that is me and my lookings at it. But yeah, you guys can let me know what you guys think of this card. It has been fairly recently spoiled. I don't know how much chatter there is about it, but hey, I want to come out and talk about it. There's some other few cards that I kind of want to start talking about. I don't really want to talk about too many of the cards that everyone else is going to talk about. I want to talk about all the cards that might go under the radar a little bit, and then a few weeks or a few months later, people will go, oh wow, why wasn't anyone talking about this card? Whatnot. So yeah, but anyway, guys, yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this one, and yeah, hope to see you in the next one. If you're enjoying the content here, you can join the Screw Army by subscribing and turning on the notifications.